This line is a product of solving a need that I had.
Look outside the box, but not having anything else to look at.
In the beginning, I put a T17 on top of a T14 and just did a loop-to-loop connection.
Way easier to use than I would have ever suspected.
It became obvious that the lines needed to be shorter so we could cast them.
To feel the rod load that heavily and actually be able to make a decent cast.
We're not just dumping the line over the side of the boat rail and trolling the bottom. We're actually having to cast into all types of structure, kelp, toward boiler rocks, toward rock walls, into jetties and so forth.
So 10 years ago, no way. Now, it's a different deal. Different rods, different lines, different technology.
The should-be factor I completely took out of this equation and just purely went down a road that I thought could achieve this.
But what's happening is the manufacturers are building lines and rods that meet the specifics of the general fly fishing public. They're not meeting the wants of people that are willing to step outside the box.
Right now, the lightest line I own is 800 grams.
I will be working on heavy line refinement maybe for the rest of my life.
I probably, in fact, will be exploring this heavy line theory, this heavy line experiment for the rest of my life.
Luck plays a part, but consistency is what separates the men from the boys. Okay, so now we're finally getting into the meat of what's happening here. We've gotten a lot of people contacting us about what lines we're using, and we're ready to give you that information. And this is after extensive time, extensive testing from me and especially Keith. Keith here has 72 different recipes of lines that he's put together, and he's kept notes on everything. And you know, he's changed up the heads a couple of feet. We've used different running lines and the whole thing. So this is the accumulation of all that knowledge, and we're going to give it to you now. So what we've done here is we've taken the Rio T14 custom tip, which is an integrated shooting line, and we call it an integrated shooting line because the running line is seamless going into the shooting head. There's no knot here, which is really nice going through the guides. It makes for a real smooth casting unit. And then what we've done is we do not cut the whole head off, because keeping some of this head helps turn over smoothly the head that we actually integrate to the end of this. So you can see here that this T14, what's left is about 7 or 8 feet of head that we've left on there, and then we connect an SA Deepwater Express shooting head. We like the 700 grains and the 850 grains. So by the time you're done with this, it's going to be, you know, 850 or 750 to 900 grains, usually around that. Okay, so what we have here to adjoin these heads together is we have 50-pound good broad butt leader. We have about 16 inches of that, and starting from this end, we have 15-pound Tatsu leader that we tie a nail knot to anchor this butt section down, and then it has UV knot sense over the top of that. Going towards the middle, we like to put aqua seal, and what we do is we try to get, this is pulled apart a little bit here, but I like to get these two shooting heads sucked right up next to each other, and then we take aqua seal and roll that in between there, just to keep it so it doesn't hinge right there, and that aqua seal is soft enough to create a loop. And then going towards the other side, once again, we have the 15-pound Tatsu leader, another nail knot, and then UV knot sense over the top of that. And that's how we've been joining these lines together. Now, these SA Deepwater Express heads are designed to fly really well through the air. And these guys have got this thing worked out extremely well. And this is really one of the best secrets we're giving you here, because this line has not been marketed all that well, but cast extremely well. It's a 700 or 850 grain head that's tapered at both ends. They actually retool for each difference in head. They put different cores in there and all that. So they've got this pretty wired, and this is really the big secret of why these lines cast so well. Now when they make these, they make them 30 feet long, and they actually will tell you you can cut these things down. But we don't want to do that. We want as much weight as we possibly can on these. And so the 30 feet, we do not cut. So we don't cut the SA head, we only cut the T14 head. So the reason we're using this T14 is we used the T11 with their running line, but the running line was really a little too thin. You know, when you're casting these heavy heads, when you make a back cast sometimes, the running line slips in between your fingers and you're just done. You have to strip it all back in and recast. So we've used Rio, Slick Shooter, we've used all kinds of different running lines. And the T14 has the thickness that we want. It is an intermediate sink, so it helps get that head down as well. And it's just overall it doesn't knot up as much, and everybody agreed that this was the best running line that we've used. And the SAs are the best heads that we've used so far.
We've been casting lines in between 800 and 980 grains. And how we've been able to do that is that the key to the formula is you've got to keep the total head length approximately 45 feet or less. The closer you can get to 35 feet, the better. So what we've been doing is we've been taking the Scientific Anglers Deepwater Express, comes in two grain weights that we really like, and that's 700 and an 850 head. So what we've done is we've melded that to the Rio T14 custom tip. But however, what I need to stress to you guys is that you do not ever cut the head. The head needs to stay 30 feet so you have your heaviest part forward. So what we've been doing is we've been taking the T14 custom tip and cutting the head back to about 8 to 10 feet of the actual sink head on this, and then adjoining the head. So for example, with the 850 grain head, if you cut the T14 back to say 8 feet, you're going to yield a 950, 960 grain total line. But then that only brings the total sink portion of your line to 38 feet. And you will find that that is the key to the formula.
So what we've just given you here is the exact formula of why Keith and I and Vaughn really think we've been catching these really big calico bass. Getting deeper in the water column, fishing these areas, even the shallow water column, we're fishing these faster because the line gets down quicker. So, you know, if anybody has any questions about whatever we're doing, how we're putting these lines together, what kind of lines we're using or anything like that, feel free to visit us at facebook.com/the Calico Syndicate, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.